But what if I told you that the person who once dismissed your love is on the verge of experiencing the most excruciating realization of their life? Stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal could completely shift your understanding of narcissistic relationships. There comes a moment, sharp, undeniable, and devastating, when the narcissist can no longer hide from the truth. Carl Jung, one of the most influential minds in psychology, discovered that the human psyche defends itself using a mechanism called projection, assigning to others what we cannot accept in ourselves. But what happens when those projections collapse? What happens when the mirror breaks and reality comes crashing in? Here's what Jung didn't fully explain, something about narcissists that will blow your mind. Jung believed that narcissists construct what he called a false self, a carefully curated persona, designed to shield their most fragile wounds. This false self becomes so dominant that it drowns out their authentic core. They begin to confuse your sincere love with weakness, dismissing it not because it lacked value, but because it threatened the fragile illusion they built to survive. As Jung said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. But here's the twist you never saw coming. The moment you walked away, you triggered something deep within them, something Jung called psychological compensation, and now they're about to face the consequences. Jung discovered that the psyche always seeks equilibrium. When someone lives entirely in an inflated, ego-driven identity, the unconscious eventually demands a reckoning. Your absence wasn't just a loss, it was the spark that ignited their internal collapse. While you were there, you served a crucial role. You were their mirror, their validation source, their emotional anchor. According to Jung, narcissists project their unrealized potential onto others. You weren't just a partner, you were holding their lost capacity for empathy, love, and authenticity. But now, something far more terrifying is happening in their psyche. According to Jung, the traits we reject in others are often those we've buried in ourselves. Your patience, your kindness, your unconditional love. These weren't just admirable qualities to them. They were reflections of what they long ago cast into the dark corners of their psyche, into what Jung called the shadow. He said, the shadow is a moral problem that challenges the whole ego personality. When you left, you took their projected light with you. Now they're left to face the darkness alone. And here's the most transformative part. Narcissists don't truly love themselves. That inflated ego, that superiority, they're not signs of confidence, but symptoms of deep inner deficiency. Jung called it compensation, a psychological cover-up for profound inadequacy. Your love acted like a drug, briefly filling a void they refused to acknowledge. But you did something they never expected. You chose yourself. And that is where this becomes something much bigger. According to Jung, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. While they were lost in games of control and ego, you unknowingly began a journey Jung called individuation, the process of becoming whole, authentic and aligned with your true self. Your decision to leave wasn't just about setting boundaries. It was a spiritual and psychological awakening. You were answering your own inner call to step out of their illusion and reclaim your wholeness. And now, Jung predicted this exact unraveling. When someone loses their primary projection target, the unconscious rebounds. It's what he called the return of the repressed. Everything they once saw in you, your warmth, your honesty, your emotional depth, is now haunting them. Not because they miss you romantically, but because you represented their unlived self. And here's where it gets profound. Jung developed the idea of the transcendent function, the inner bridge that forms when the conscious and unconscious can no longer be separated. Your absence has become that bridge. Every memory of your care and compassion now forces them to confront the very parts of themselves they denied. Jung said, your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams? Who looks inside awakens. You've awakened. They're still dreaming, but those dreams are now nightmares. And here's what will give you chills. Jung discovered that what you resist persists. They resisted your value, your love, your essence. Now that resistance has become their internal prison. The psyche always demands integration, and they're feeling the pressure of what Jung called the opposites. The conflict between who they pretended to be and who they truly are. Your absence has brought that contradiction into the light. But here's what Jung would say about you and your healing. The wounded healer is one of the most powerful archetypes. By choosing to heal yourself instead of trying to fix them, you've begun your own heroic journey. Individuation requires reclaiming your projections and owning your inner truth. You're not just recovering from a relationship, you're undergoing a psychological rebirth. And here's the final revelation. Jung said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. If we're brave enough to look, the narcissist is not brave enough. They are stuck in what Jung called psychological inflation, unable to confront their own shadow. But you've done the inner work. You've integrated your pain. You've learned. You've evolved. In Jungian terms, you've achieved what they may never reach, authentic self-awareness. So remember this truth. When someone fails to recognize your worth, they often spend the rest of their lives chasing what you once gave them, freely, not because they understand love, but because you were their glimpse of wholeness. As Jung said, the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. You were transformed, stronger, wiser, more complete. They remain the same, trapped in illusion, untouched by the change. Their stagnation is their loss, not yours. Your worth was never measured by their recognition. You have come home to yourself. You've embraced your real nature, strengths, flaws, light and shadow. You're whole, you're grounded, and at last, you're free. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you found meaning in today's message, don't forget to subscribe and share this with someone who needs to hear it.